All right, I'm
Fucking
gonna look this up real quick right before we get
dead
started.
bugs and bees just
Do
like
bees know they'll die if they sting?
if someone can answer that question, how do they know that the bee knows? You
So
know
it
what I
says
mean?
this. Typically, the bees would be able to continue using their stinger without having it and their organs pulled out. Wait, how does that work, though? That doesn't make any sense. All right. So, no, it's not likely that the honeybee knows they will die if they sting you. However, if they feel the need to go into battle, they're prepared to die to protect their home. Battle. I like how they talk about bees too, because it's true. They're like an army. They're like, if I need to defend my home, I'll die with honor.
Yeah. You want it
Like,
off?
hell yeah.
Because
All right.
Yeah, let's.
What were you gonna say, John?
that would be a that's a freaky thing. You just be like, I know I'm gonna die, man, so I'm gonna go ahead and sting this human being that's just randomly in the street,
There's balls
nowhere near
though.
my hive.
I
You said it takes
I
balls.
yeah, really, because like you got to think about it on I mean, you got to go like to a fantasy level for us. If that's almost like us, like I got to defend my home against Godzilla, so I'm gonna fly this airplane into like Godzilla's mouth or something.
Yeah,
It's like I can't physically fight Godzilla, but if I can hurt Godzilla to defend my home and protect my loved ones, I'll do it.
damn.
The better question
Let's
is,
make that a
you know how like people, it's funny because like we are the dominant race on the earth. So it's funny to think about though how most people, I'm not saying all, but most people are afraid of bugs or, spiders and stuff. So like imagine if like there was a Godzilla and like he walked into a city and he saw all these people walking around and he acted like a human and he saw all these like to him were bugs. So he's like, oh, I gotta get the fuck out. He like ran away. He's like, oh my God, I walked into a fucking nest. That'd be funny. He's like, oh, I gotta get the fuck out. And they like we're shooting at him with tanks, and that's pretty much like bee stings to him. He's like, oh, what the fuck? I gotta get the fuck out of here. He's like, oh. That's probably
then
how
he
it'd be more realistic.
then he hops
But
out with
what
the.
if that is the thing?
Well, wait, hold
What
on
if
one
we
second, check. Wait, John, what did you say?
I said it'd be funny if he popped out with a human bug spray can and started spraying us.
Yeah, he's got like this big spray just spraying us. We're like, oh, what the fuck? Oh.
That's where hail and rain comes from. It's from
Let's
fucking Godzilla.
let's go ahead and get this podcast started in 3, 2.
Yeah.
Great morning.
Great morning.
Great morning.
Great morning.
And welcome back to another episode of Great Morning. I'm your host, Christian Murmur, Murmdog, whatever the fuck you wanna call me. And to the top left of my computer screen, we have with us today our in-studio comedian, Topazkin, Chubbsway, DJ Chucky. How the hell are you doing today, bro?
Fucking good, man. You know, outside with the kids, with the baby, you know.
Hell yeah. How was your Memorial Day?
Yeah.
We were off for a week after the special. Shout out to the special, by the way. If you didn't listen to it yet, go back and listen to it.
It was good. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say it was good, but because I got some dead homies that I had to, memorial. So I played a little poker because one of my dead homies liked poker.
mm,
Makes my dogs, of course. Kicked it at the crib, you know. Shout out to my dead homies.
yeah, shout out. I'm sorry. Yeah, it is. Again, that was Memorial Day, so it's not. It is a somber day for those that have made the ultimate sacrifice on the altar of
Yeah,
freedom.
man. I had to correct my mom. She's like, "Happy Memorial Day." Like, ain't shit happy about this. You ain't supposed to say Happy Memorial Day. And people
Well,
are
what
like,
do
well,
you
what do
say
you
then?
say?
Like,
You don't say anything. You just know it's Memorial Day. It's an observation. You just,
hmm. I guess, yeah. I guess you don't say Happy Memorial Day.
yeah, man. And
Or like,
if
yeah.
you know somebody, or that you don't even have to personally know because I went, 15 years before I've known anyone to pass in the military. You know what I mean? And then boom, someone passed in the military. So even then, if you don't even know anybody, you just know that that has happened, and you just, think on that. Even if it's for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you're just like, man, some people didn't gave their lives, man.
Yeah, I think actually we should read something here for Great More. I'm going to read something. Don't worry, bear with me. It's very quick. It was written back in 1864, but it's very quick. It's a letter. All right. Bear with me. It says, "Dear Madam, I have been shown in the files of the War Department a statement of the Adjutant General of Massachusetts that you are the mother of 5 sons who have died gloriously on the field of battle. I feel how weak and fruitless must be any words of mine which should attempt to beguile you from the grief of a loss so overwhelming. But I cannot refrain from tendering to you the consolation that may be found in the thanks of the republic they died to save. I pray that our Heavenly Father may assuage the anguish of your bereavement and leave you only the cherished memory of the loved and lost, and the solemn pride that must be yours to have laid so costly a sacrifice upon the altar of freedom. Yours very sincerely and respectfully, Abraham Lincoln." He wrote that to Mrs. Bigsby. 5 of her sons died on the Union side fighting at Gettysburg the same day. They all died, so he wrote that letter personally to her. Just fucked up. But anyway, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's deep, man. Dang, bro.
Yeah, that was a good.
And
And it was a quick letter. My favorite part about that letter is he just signs it Abraham Lincoln. He doesn't sign President or the Honorable. He's just Abraham Lincoln. Like, bro, that's fucked up. So anyway, shout out, yes,
I,
to
I
everyone.
wonder if we give those letters to parents, you know what I'm saying?
Well,
I wonder if we do. Like not like me, but like the president. Even though he probably don't do it himself, he probably has a template and his administrator send it out or some shit like that. But I wonder if it happens.
I think, yeah, that there is a letter that parents or wives or whoever closest kin is. I think they do get it from the president. It might be a template at this point, but I think something extreme like that, they would get a personal. I think they would get a call from the president, and like, back then there were no phones, so it was like. But I think they would get a call, but that doesn't really happen anymore because after World War II, they made that a law in the United States that if one sibling is in an area of conflict or a war, war zone, but there's other siblings in the military, they cannot go to the war zone while the one is there. That started during the Korean War. They made that a rule.
But that's more of a thing. Well, as far as the Navy goes, they just can't be on the same ship.
They can't be on the same ship, but like it's also like say we're at war right now, and like I was there, and my brother was also in the military. My brother would not be able to go until after I left, and then if I died, he wouldn't go at all. That way, they keep a sibling alive for the family. So it
Nah,
was
that's kind
after
of
World
deep,
War
man.
II they started doing that. Like that's what happened with my grandparents. So like my grandfather, he was in the army. He never went to Vietnam because his brother, my great uncle, went to Vietnam. He survived, but I mean, he was in Vietnam, so they couldn't send him. So
You
he
see
went
why
back.
America's so fucking good, man?
Yeah, we got rules about dead
We got
siblings, I
rules
guess.
about dead siblings. Yeah, we're fucking great, dude.
Well, anyway, shout out, like we said, we don't say Happy Memorial Day, but we we hope everyone spent time with their families and their loved ones on that, this long past weekend we just had. And happy June to everyone, all right? And remember those we've lost, all right? We just want to say that. But anyway, enough somber stuff. Let me go ahead and introduce some other amazing people we have with us today. To the bottom right of my computer screen, this wonderful woman just popped in. I'd like to introduce, the Fact Queen. My sister from the East, that Puerto Rican mamacita from Spanish Harlem, Stephanie 3.0. How you doing today?
Wait, hello? Hello,
Hi.
everyone. How the fuck are we doing?
Final
Listen,
call, 11, 12,
I'm at a meet right now.
hurdles. Final call, 11, 12.
This is an interesting audio segment.
Boys and girls, 100-meter hurdles. First call, 13.
Ooh, I introduced you at the wrong time.
So I'm at a track meet right now,
That's fine.
right? My son just won first place. My
Woo!
nephew my nephew came in last place because
Okay.
I had to drag him. And yeah, first of all, it was my birthday last week. Well, this week on Wednesday.
Happy birthday.
Please rise and remove your cap and direct your attention to the American flag located in the
Oh,
scoreboard
look, now
for
we're
the
being
singing
real
of our national anthem.
patriotic. Are we gonna say the Pledge of Allegiance with us, guys? Are we
You know
gonna do
what?
it
Why
together?
don't you? Why don't no? Why don't you do it? Because we're not hearing it that well.
Here
That
you
way
go.
you're not getting in trouble
Close
being
your
on the
eyes.
phone.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you be muted, and I'm gonna go ahead and introduce.
Come on,
our
let me get your
guest.
front.
How does that sound? All right, good. All right. Anyway, so we're gonna hear in and out from Stephanie. You know, we know she's at that track meet. Congratulations to her son winning first place. But I
Thank
want to
you.
go ahead and introduce another amazing person we have to
Rub it.
the
You
bottom
wanna rub it?
left of our computer
You
screen.
said put it on me?
Unless we're gonna say like the
Okay.
Pledge of Allegiance
Put
in
your
the
head
middle
up.
of that, but I think it's time to introduce this person. I guess we're listening to this.
I low key want to say she rude, but at the same time, like disrespect. Yeah. She said,
Stephanie, put your hand over your heart.
okay. All better.
You do.
Woo! Very good, very good, very good. I'm glad we listened to that over a phone call. We listened to the national anthem over a phone call. That was great.
I don't care. That's kind of it's rude but deep.
Yeah, Stephanie, I kind of wish you weren't dancing, but like, I guess whatever. You were showing your respect. But anyway,
Damn.
thank you, Stephanie, for being here. I know we'll hear in and out from you, but I want to go ahead and introduce I want to go ahead and introduce our guest. We have a returning guest from last season. All right, this is actually his third appearance. He was on his own episode last season, and then he also made it to the season finale because he made it to the top 10 list. And this man, all right, this man has had like 20 plus years in the music industry. Am I correct by saying that? I think it's 20 now, right? Last time we talked to you was 19 years, 20 plus years in the music industry. Record executive, all right, John Kwatakye-Atiko. How are you today, my friend?
I'm doing great, Christian, man. It's a good fucking morning, man.
Yeah,
Great morning. Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
Okay.
You're good.
A great morning.
Hey, man.
Great fucking morning.
Real
Great
quick,
fucking morning, yeah.
before we get into some questions for you, I know we talked to you last time, and we already went through a bunch of stuff. But I want to ask, how was your Memorial Day weekend? Did you do anything interesting while
Need my
you
ticket?
had extra time off? Or
I mean, I was able to get a little bit of barbecue. I went over to my guy's crib, and they had like something on the roof in their building, so it was like really nice, like a community event.
Oh, okay, very good, very good, fantastic. Well, we're happy you're here. All right, and I wanted to ask, you made it to the top 10 list last season, so you automatically booked. We wanted you back anyway, but you automatically book a spot onto the next season when you make it to the top 10. And I want to ask, because we're gonna get into it again. How did you feel about your placement last season?
Honestly, I thought it was fair. Because think about it, a lot of these other guys, they're really, really funny. Like, I'm not that funny. I'm not a funny guy. I'm so serious. I'm really not a funny person at all. I mean, my girl may find me funny, but I don't think most people find me funny.
Well, the lucky part is because we understand that, like, not every guest we have on the show is a stand-up comedian. Like, we completely understand that. So when we that's why we have the ratings on those three different things. Like, yeah, you're rated on how funny it was, but also how creative it was, and of course, if you use the word correctly. Because we've had times where people have come on and they don't use the word correctly, but what they said was really fucking funny. So they get more points in that. But then we have creative ones where people have done, a couple of seasons ago, we had a girl who sang a song and it wasn't funny. It wasn't really funny at all, but like the creative points, she gets a fucking shit ton from that. So you got to find a balance of all three, I guess, is the best way to do it, or just go all out in, one of the categories and you'll start ranking on there. But but Stephanie has a question. It looks like, Stephanie, is there something you'd like to ask? I see your hand is raised.
Yes, I'm gonna have to BRB because I gotta get my charger. All right.
Okay, that's fine. All right, see you.
Okay.
Thank you. Goodbye. Anyway.
Bye, I guess.
Yeah, all right.
See you later.
Oh my God. Jesus. John, I wanted to ask you, what's like a typical day at work like for you? Like, what's a typical day for you? I was interested in that. Like, really, I wanted to know that. And we might have gone over a little bit of that like last season when we talked to you, but I want to know, what do you do in like a normal, like you go Tuesday. What do you do on a Tuesday? Typical day.
I'm probably just answering emails from the week prior. Because there's like I get a shitload of emails from different people, who either want to license music or they're pitching their music to me, or somebody's manager is reaching out to me for advice, or maybe it's a distribution company asking me a question about a release that we put out, or maybe it's a playlist that's contacting us saying they want to add some of our music to their playlist. So it's me really just getting back to a lot of people. Sometimes I have my assistant help me with those like sort of smaller tasks. But honestly, I'm a hands-on type of guy. Like, I hate just sitting in an office all day and answering phone calls and going through emails. I like getting in the recording studio.
I hear that.
So that's what I really love to do. I like to go out to the recording studio with the artists and work on music.
Well, I like that because it's so easy, especially nowadays, to just get caught up. Just like, fuck it, I'm gonna sit in the office 5 days a week, 9 to 5, or however long it is. Emails, meetings, emails, and then like, you kind of lose track a little bit of what the whole fucking game was, 20 years ago. So I like that you still want to do the hands-on stuff. And I feel like if I were in your position, I would want to do that too, because I just hate, I hate just sitting around for too long too. I can't just be like in front of my computer for 6 hours and just being like type.
I definitely agree, man. My phone is like next to my girl. My phone is like my best friend. Because it never leaves my hand. Honestly, I just sit there because if let's say if I'm traveling, I can still answer all those emails. I could be anywhere in the world and I can still get the work done without sitting in front of a laptop all day.
Yeah,
and that's the nightmare, sitting in front of that laptop 24/7.
And it just hurts your eyes, and then you just get angry, and you're like, "Oh, Jesus, it's just an awful." Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Speaking of the phone, though, another thing I want to.
So, do you do like some? Do you do some writing too?
Yes, I do actually, by the way. Yes.
Ooh.
I just got back into it. I'm glad you asked, man. You see, and I think that may help me with creativity today, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you find yourself now? I want to ask a question about. I was going to ask a question about the social media presence, but we'll get to that in a bit. I want to. What do you normally, when you're writing? What do you write about, or is it a bunch of different things?
Bunch of different things. I can write about almost anything, man. Like I write about there's a song we just put out with Shantae Patrice called Cash App. I co-wrote that. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And is that about Cash App?
Yes, it is. It's about guys sending her a Cash App. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, hell yeah! All right.
Yeah. Send some money to her. You know what I'm saying? That's what she wants.
Hell yeah, love it. And that that's funny that
shit. That's what I want. Hell, just send me some Cash App. You know what I'm saying?
Chuck, weren't you writing some songs for a bit too? I know you did the comedy, so you wrote jokes, but were you? I thought you mentioned that a while back.
Yeah, I used to be a rapper back when I was a tween, 13, 14, 12, 13, 14, 15. I kind of, I fell off it because the owner of the record company I was, with, and my manager, he was my manager too. He like robbed a bank, and that was like the end of it.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
A bank.
Yeah,
wow.
Wow.
Yeah, that was it, dog. Yeah, he was looking for some.
Hey.
See, that's one of those things I don't think you can be successful at doing anymore because, like, you hear those stories like the Old West where it was like, the banks that you could just rob a bank. But today it's just so high security. And then even if you get away with robbing it, how do you get away after with all that money that you got to fucking, launder? It just seems like an impossible task to rob a bank these days.
Because and banks they don't have all the money anyway. It's all fake money.
The smartest bank robbers are the ones who sit behind laptops all day.
Yes. Yeah. You got to do that's how you got to do it is you got to hack. You got to be just a great hacker and then hack money into someone's account or just to a shallow account, I think they call them. And then like you slowly take some of the money out and then you got to launder. It's a whole fucking problem. It's like I said, it's not. I think John Mulaney used to make that joke. It's not like back in like the 1860s where you could just show up with a Tommy gun. You didn't have to wear a mask because there's no cameras. It's just like, oh, that was just a guy and he had a nose and he had some eyebrows. I don't know how to describe him. And you could just walk in. You can say your name too. You can be like, my name's Christian Murm. Shoot up the place and be like, give me all your money and then fucking leave. Just go to a different state and you'd be fine. It's like
real gangster shit back then.
Yeah, like really. Yeah, as long as like you weren't there by the time the police showed up, you're gonna get away with that robbery. That's all you had to fucking do. But anyway, enough about bank robberies. I wanted to ask, speaking of phone, because John, you said something about the phones before, and a big thing that's on our phones these days is, of course, social media. And I know we talked about social media last time you were on, and I know obviously social media is very important for not only new artists but existing artists as well. But do you find the growing impact of social media on today's world with everything, with Instagram, even Zoom or TikTok, do you find that it is both a hindrance and like a good thing for the artists, or do you think it's more of one for artists?
You know what? I am so glad that you asked this question, Christian. It's like you're reading my mind, bro. Let me tell you something. No, seriously, I'm so serious about that.
Sure.
Social media, honestly, it's like a double-edged sword, man.
Yeah.
It really is, because I miss back in the day when, we put posters up everywhere and it's like you could see the artist, but you couldn't speak to the artist. I feel like fans are no longer fans. I feel like fans are competitors now. It's like everyone is an influencer. Anyone who can just sign up for the app is now an influencer. There's someone important. And so now when you're promoting your artist, they're like, oh, who cares? But back in the day when there was no social media, people saw a poster of an artist and they went crazy. They were like, oh my God, who's this new girl singing? And it's like, you can actually get in their head and promote to them. Like, I don't think Whitney Houston and Luther and all these other artists from back in the day would be able to survive today in today's market where everything's about social media and instant gratification online. Because, they weren't used to that. They were so used to sort of being to themselves and being sheltered and covered. But today it's like you have to make videos and be a comedian, be funny in every video. It's like it's so many gimmicks online. It's just ridiculous. It's like, what happened to just making music and people loving the way it sounded? Now you can't put out music anymore. Now it's music with content. I got to make a song and then I have to play the role of a buffoon to get you to like it and share it.
and you gotta get some TikTokers on it. If TikTok don't like it, it ain't going on.
Man, you ain't lying. You ain't lying, bro.
Yeah, it's almost become, I'm not a musical artist, but from what I've seen, it's almost it feels like it's an added part of the job almost. It's like, hey, you want to do this, you also have to post a video of yourself every day and make a tweet every day and then interact with fans on, Instagram Live or TikTok Live or whatever, for 30 minutes or something every day. And it's just like, I don't know. To me, it almost feels like these poor people, like they don't have time to like when do you have time to just like go to dinner with your husband or your wife or your mom or something? Like, do you have time to have a life outside of the social media at this point? It seems very rough.
I mean, yeah, you do, man. But you know what? There is a breed and a generation of artists out there like Drake, Kendrick, even Taylor Swift with her old country pop ass. And then goddamn, they came up with, they first started out in the MySpace area where, people were just posting their music. And you know what? They had a fan base because you got a lot of day ones. Like I like Drake because I was his day one. I ain't gonna lie. I was listening to his mixtape. And that was the only way I got to hear him at first. Was somebody knew him, somebody was playing him, and I was like, yo, that's nice. Bro got bars. And I think now, if everybody else, the new generation that's out, bro, it's just, if you ain't on TikTok, you ain't on nothing.
Yeah, I think you need to have control over the media. So something that my company is working on with our artists right now is we're getting ready to square up for a campaign later on this summer where we're going to be promoting her throughout social media. Even though she's not going to be actively posting, we're going to be getting her posted in multiple news blogs and other influencer accounts. We're going to be getting them to do all that work as far as, rotating the record and getting it in the right hands. Because I want to see if that actually works. I want to see if it's a thing where, because I know right now the labels that they're testing out this thing where it's like an incubator where they bring in the new artist and they want that artist to be actively working on social media and posting and liking and going to other people's accounts and trying to get new followers. But you'll notice that a lot of major artists, they may have one post and it'll say they're following no one. But they're still doing well. They have the great touring going on. They have the streams are high. And this is because they have a lot of marketing and promotion behind them. So you're still hearing their music. You're still learning about what they're releasing, but you're just not learning directly from that artist. You're learning from third-party sources like media blogs and influencers.
Wow, see that's good. And that, like I said, that seems to that'll help give them more time to actually, whenever they do want to use, like, say, Instagram to talk to their audience, they will actually have time. And it's not really an added part of the job where every day you got to be making a post. I like that. I like that you're able to just help, facilitate that part of their success, really. So that, yeah.
Even for me, man, this sucks. I'm able to grow on Instagram a little bit, but God, I gotta post on Facebook too. Hell, I be forgetting. I forget to post on TikTok. Like, it's just like, man.
Yes, it's so many platforms. It's like, when are they gonna stop? I feel like there's gonna be 5 new platforms in the next 3 years, and we're just gonna be shuffling our phone from app to app to app to app to like crackheads. I'm like, no, we're not doing that. So we need to pick just 2 or 3 of them and stick to them.
Yeah, or they're gonna merge weirdly, because like you hear talks about that, not just like the social media apps, but another big thing right now, another controversy is like the streaming services, right? They said like streaming services are gonna like take over. They're gonna get rid of like basic cable for TV, so like no one's gonna have cable in a few years, but now all of a sudden they're talking about all the streaming apps are like, oh, but now we got to add commercials to everything, and it's like, and we got to up the price, so it's like they're just becoming cable again, and they're all merging, and it's just like that's how I feel like these social media apps are going to be. It's like, all right, well, Instagram and Facebook are merging. Yeah, they're 2 different apps, but it's the same thing, and they're going to use Meta, and then like also like here's a bunch of different ads we're going to show you after every 2 posts you look at, and it's like, whatever happened to the, I don't want to see ads, and whatever happened to the, I want it to feel like genuine, not like this person has to be posting this 3 times a day and do this every day. It's becoming very, what's the word? Very robotic, literally, in the sense.
Let me explain something to you, Kristen.
Sure.
Mark my words, and I'm glad we're recording this because people can just listen back to this and say, holy shit, he said it. Social media in the future, I would say maybe probably the next 2 or 3 years even, is going to be a subscription-based model, period. Meaning you're going to have to pay to participate. See, what happened was in the beginning, they wanted to get you in. They hooked you by giving you these free accounts, letting you use it. Now you're addicted to it. It's like a freaking drug. People can't put their phones down for 1 minute without seeing if they got a new follower, a new like, a new comment. Imagine them just shutting you off and saying, that's it. Now it's $5 every month for you to stay on Instagram. Mm-hmm. And if you don't subscribe to Instagram, you're basically, you can only see what's going on, but you can't speak, you can't share anything, you can't talk, but you can just look. People are going to want to.
That's Twitter right now.
That's Twitter right now.
I was going to say, you're right.
Yeah, Twitter. If you don't pay the subscription on Twitter, you can't make comments to anybody with a blue check mark. So you only can make comments to other regular people, but you can't comment on any. Yeah. If you got a blue check mark, only people with a blue check mark can comment on your stuff.
Yeah, wasn't it already like? So I didn't know that either. That's interesting, Chuck. But wasn't it already too like? If you wanted to keep your blue check mark, you had to pay for Twitter or X or whatever it's called now.
Yeah, that's true. If you want to keep your blue check mark, you got to pay for it. Yeah. But this kind of keeps the light. I mean, because people who don't pay can say anything that they want, and they want to keep the truth as more truth as possible. So you got to pay to get your opinion heard. I mean, I kind of understand that.
That makes sense.
I get it. All right. Well, okay. Well, that's an interesting take, and I believe also that you're going to be correct on that, John, that it's all going to become a subscription based. I believe that wholeheartedly. The one thing I hope you're wrong though about it being in 2 or 3 years. I hope it's longer than that, But I do think you're correct. I do think in our lifetime we will see that happen, and it's gonna be hard. Like you're right, it's gonna be hard for people to go from I've had this thing like Instagram's been around. How long has Instagram been around? Like 15 years or something. So it's gonna be hard to be like all of a sudden I've had this thing forever. Now you got to pay for it, and I still kind of want it. So yeah, maybe I will pay for it. And it's just another fucking bullshit thing that's just going to be running through our bank accounts. Like every month, you're like, oh, there's $5 gone because of Instagram or
You
whatever.
even got to pay. You got to pay for Snapchat just to like. There's a thing called Snapchat Plus where you can just get like some extra filters and you can see how many followers you got. Like you can see like an actual number and shit like that. Like
That's something. Let me tell you something. This is going to be detrimental on the health on the mental health of young people. I'm telling you right now, because if they can't afford the subscription, that means now they've been ousted out of society. They no longer have a voice. They can't speak because they don't have any money to speak. And so they become depressed. Why? Because in the future, everybody's going to have their VR headsets on their face and no one's even going to be paying attention to anyone. So you're going to be lonely just walking down the street. You got to find friends who are also poor with you to have conversation with, because everyone else is in meta land, too busy, talking to each other through the app in their little fancy subscriptions. So, it's going to be a really sad future if we don't like tone it down just a little bit. I think they should put restrictions on social media, like maybe open it up at 8 a.m. and close that bitch at 5 o'clock. Like, seriously.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, like, but then the problem, I agree. The problem with that, though, that goes into like, I guess you could say, I guess technically that is freedom of speech, because then you can be like, well, hey, you're silencing us after a certain time. That's illegal. That's against our First Amendment. That's in the Constitution, buddy. Like, you can't be doing that. So people could argue
yes, you
against
can.
that. I'm not saying, I'm just saying,
it's your
playing devil's
business.
advocate. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Fuck that.
You got to remember something. The Constitution only applies to the government, not to private companies or people.
Mm-hmm.
So your First Amendment right is only valid when the government is challenging that speech. But when someone like I challenge your speech right now, that's not a violation of the Constitution. Or if you challenge what I'm saying, that's not a violation of the Constitution, unless I was a government official. Then it would be a violation. Yeah.
By the way, I am a government official. No, I'm kidding. But not anymore. I was in the Navy at one point.
But I'm gonna be.
You technically are, Chuck. You still are in the military. You technically are right now.
But after I'm done with this, I'm running for office.
Yes, we forgot you're running for office as well. All right. Well, this is I hate to cut this conversation off, and we can get back to it in a second. But I do like talking about the future of how social media will help not only with artists but young people as well, as John mentioned there. But I want to go ahead and ask Chuck here for a second. Chuck, do you think it's time?
Yeah, I think it's motherfucking time.
I also think it's time that we go into one of our favorite segments, one of our oldest segments. We've been doing a great morning here. And John, you already know what it is, but I'm going to go and tell you what it is anyway. That is, of course, the word of the day. Word of the day. Oh, so how the word of the day works, John, I know you know how it works. We actually just talked about it before we started recording, but I want to go ahead and explain it again just in case there's any first-time listeners in this episode. So what happens is we have, well, Jimmy's not here right now, but usually we have the big old dictionary. It's an old Webster's dictionary that's been passed down Jimmy's family for thousands and thousands of years now, and he usually opens it up, flips it to a random page, he puts his finger down on that page, and whatever his finger landed on will be our word of the day. So what happens then is our guest, who is John today, has to use that word in a sentence. And at the end of the year, the end of the season, me, Chuck, Stephanie, and Jimmy, we have to grade every guest sentence on how funny it was, how creative it was, and of course, if they use the word correctly. All right. And they get graded. They get put into a top 10 list. Some people don't even make the top 10 list, but the ones that do, they get put into a top 10 list. And the number one place gets a nice trophy and a nice little prize and a little bit of recognition and some bragging rights at the end of the season. So it's a lot of fun. We like to do that. So John, this is your turn. Are you ready for your word of the day?
Yes.
So your word of the day, my friend, is, I have it written down here, arrow. So ARROW. So it is a noun, of course. So the definition of an arrow is a shaft sharpened at the front and with feathers or veins at the back, shot from a bow as a weapon or for sport. An arrow is your word of the day.
Okay, let me see.
So whenever you're ready.
Okay, let me see. Okay. Let me see. The Cupid's arrow missed its target and hit a watermelon instead, creating a very juicy love story.
That was okay. That was okay. That was definitely that was creative. That was kind of funny too. I'm laughing.
Yeah, bro got that was bars. I don't care.
Juicy. Yeah, that did have bars. Yeah, juicy love story. I like that. Oh my god. All right, cool. All right, cool. And that was Arrow. That was a first, it's been a while since we had an A. We had an A, Jimmy he does really good when he comes to flipping around, but I feel like he's not usually near the front or the back of the book. In fact, I don't know if we've ever had a Z word. I wonder if there's a Z word somewhere.
How many Z words out there other than zebra?
Zebra, zenith.
It's zebra.
Zebra.
Oh, we did have zenith.
We had zenith.
Yes, because zenith is like top of the game or something like that.
Damn, man.
Zenith, yeah, doesn't it mean like the pinnacle of something? Like
yeah. We did have that.
We had Zenith? Who had Zenith?
Yeah. Some asshole, not me.
Some asshole. This is how we talk about the guests. Jesus Christ. Some asshole. Oh my god.
When you heard the context that I said it, it was in love.
Jesus Christ.
What'd you say about me when I'm not here, Charles?
I don't know. Some guy. I don't know.
You know what's funny is Chuck at first was also a guest on this show, so he has no right to be. He just thinks because he's been promoted throughout the years, he's like, oh, now I can start talking shit to the other guests. He was in the trenches too at one point, doing the word of the day. Don't let him. Don't you forget about that.
You heard the context. It was in love. Don't do that.
Of course, in love. Yes. No.
It was in context. It was the same. It was the same as if I was like, "Hey, bitch, what's up?"
Yes, we love all of our guests. We appreciate the time they take to come onto the show. It's a lot of fun having them on. Anyway, that being said, I want to ask John a few more questions before we get out of here. And one of them, this kind of goes into, I wrote some of these down. This kind of goes into what we already talked about, but maybe we can go further into it, or maybe you just want to say, it's already what we discussed. But I want to know, obviously, with emerging technologies, I guess we could say these days, what do you think the biggest impact on the music industry will be in the next, say, 5 years?
I would definitely say artificial intelligence in the area of understanding market in data, like understanding how fans are interacting with music, understanding trends a lot better. And because me personally, I'm not a trend guy, but I know that these people at the top, they're all focused on the numbers and the analytics, and they want to know how many streams the artist got. Me, I'm more so a talent guy. Like if you can rap or you can sing, and I know you have what it takes, I can mold you and get you to the area you need to be. But, I feel like AI is going to really help us hone in, how that all comes together. It's like everybody's playing their part. You have the talent side, and then you have the side where you have to know exactly where your market is. So putting those two together should make, life a lot easier, because me right now trying to analyze what's going on social media, it's like a freaking swamp. It's hard to kind of figure out what's happening next. And, in just sort of computing the next steps forward for any type of artist. Doesn't matter if you're a rapper, a singer, a country artist, a rock artist, it's pretty much a shit show right now.
Yeah, I like how you described it as a swamp, because there's so much shit happening in there. And it's hard to, I like how you mentioned AI though, because I think I would agree with that. The AI, because I want to know, I really want to know, do you really think AI is going to maybe not take over, obviously, because there's some sort of human element to things still that keep things from being robotic. But do you really think I don't know, say in 10 years, most of the new songs at least that we'll hear have at least a portion of AI writing in them? Do you think that's just the future?
It already does, Kristen. These guys, these major artists are already using AI to create new lyrics already. I've seen it with my own 2 eyes. I couldn't believe it. So the people are writing hooks with AI. People are getting ideas from AI. People are getting concepts. They're saying, well, you know what? Mix this with that and give me a concept for a rap song. And then they'll get a concept and say, holy shit, that should just spark my creative juices. And now they go write about the song, but it was birthed by the thought and idea of AI. So AI gave it the concept to go write about. So you'll still see artists writing songs for themselves, but sometimes they may need some influence from somewhere, and they're probably getting it from AI.
Wow. Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ. That's crazy. How do you feel about that, honestly?
Listen, it's one of those things where it's like you're never going to be able to beat a human being at being creative. I feel like there's something that's in our soul that helps us, understand, the people around us. And I feel like AI can only point you in the right direction when it comes to creativity. I don't believe that it can create creativity itself. It can only borrow from us what we've already created. So therefore, I will always believe that a human being will be able to pen or even come up with a great concept on their own without AI. I think that people need to travel more. People need to go out and have new experiences, go do something you've never done before, get uncomfortable. And that's where creativity comes from, is being in these places where you've never been there before. And then you're able to come up with new ideas and stuff. And then AI will be taking your ideas and then kind of spinning it and giving it to someone else, but you'll be the trendsetter.
Okay, I like that. So the traveling, where would you recommend?
I mean, that's real. I definitely see that, because I've had AI write me some music before. Back when ChatGPT first got introduced to me. I'm sure it's been out for a long time, but back when it got introduced to me, I asked ChatGPT to write me songs in the style of Drake, in the style of Michael Jackson, and I was like pretending to be that person and doing the impersonations. I even had AI write me a couple of jokes. They were corny as all hell, but
They're not.
We've done
They
it.
were
And
not
on
good.
this podcast, we've had AI write a short story.
Yeah, and even that wasn't that great. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's some
we've done that.
elements that aren't, again, it's still a growing thing. Who knows what it'll be in 10 years? But like right now, it's still, you can totally tell it's missing that human element. Because I remember on the show, I think it was last season, maybe or maybe 2 seasons ago, when like ChatGPT started getting big, Jimmy used it to write jokes. Who did he say? He was like, write 10 jokes like Bill Burr jokes style. Like he said something like that to ChatGPT. And ChatGPT's like, sure, and gave 10 jokes. And they were like terrible. They were like terrible. Like they had a punchline, like it knew how to write a joke, but they were not good. It was just like, oh boy, this is not.
Do you know? Well, basically, what ChatGPT is doing today is almost like, and even like Gemini or any other chatbot that they're creating, you have to ask the question. It has to be compound questions. Like you can't just ask it one simple thing. Like, hey, write me a joke that sounds like Bill Burr, or write me a joke that sounds like Cat Williams. You have to say, write a joke like Cat Williams about a prostitute in New York City regarding X, Y, and Z, regarding X, Y, and Z, regarding X, and it will give you a funny ass joke if you know how to ask it a question. But if you just tell it something basic, it will give you a basic joke. It's weird.
Or you have to go off of that also. So like you put in that font, what you just said, for instance, and it writes that joke. And then afterwards you keep saying to tell it to do stuff to that joke until it like starts to get more and more better. Like then be like, oh, can you make it just a little bit shorter because it's a little long. You're going to lose the audience if it's a little long. And it's like, okay, it makes it a little shorter. And then like you can do stuff add on.
Yes. Make it political, and make it a little bit political. Add this politician into it. And then it's almost like if you have a concept for a joke, but you just can't quite get it, AI can be used to fine tune the joke to get it to where you want it to be. So I think AI is more of an assistant than it is a creator, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that makes more sense. And I guess the thing I'm worried about is like I would rather keep it as an assistant because everyone needs help. It's okay to find inspiration. Like for instance, I'm trying to think of Cormac McCarthy wrote Blood Meridian after being inspired by Moby Dick. Like it's okay to be inspired by shit or have help, an assist at least. That's completely fine. I have no problem with that at all. But the thing I'm worried about is when do you think, or if it will happen at all, is when the AI stops being the assistant and becomes not even just like the general writer or the doer of this product, but like it'll just be it. And like since it's AI, it's like, well, I'm just going to take credit for it. That's what I'm afraid of.
I think, and you should be afraid of it because I'm afraid of it too, Christian. I think that is going to happen very soon. I think think about it. Let me ask you a question. If I'm a major record company, right? Let's say I'm Universal or I'm Sony or I'm Warner Brothers, right? One of these huge record labels, huge record companies. I have artists who write songs for themselves and they get what's called publishing. And as the label, I own the master recordings, right? Yeah. But most labels also try to take a chunk of artist's publishing, which is their writing credit or their production credit, right? Now, let me ask you a question. If I can get AI to write you a hit song every time, wouldn't I own 100% of the publishing too now? So now I own 100% of the master. I own 100% of the publishing. Does that sound good for a major label to do?
I mean, no, but yeah, no. I mean, I mean, it might be good for you because you'll probably be making more of the money. But I mean, like the artist at that point is just stuck being like
a slave.
The puppet. Like just go out there and sing the song I fucking gave you. Just like do it, perform, right, and then get the hell out of here. Like and then we'll call you in a couple weeks.
Think about it, Chris. Think about it. If you think about the music industry, right? It's ran by people who typically don't have any talent, meaning they can't sing, they don't know how to write, but they sign artists who can write, who can sing, who can produce, right? So the business exchanges, you have talent that we need in order to exploit that talent. What happens when I no longer need your talent anymore because I have a robot who's faster than you and can pump out more songs than you? Now I don't need you anymore. What's the business of getting in business with you and paying you a shit ton of money when I can just have my ChatGPT write me a hit every day, and I could just make you sing it? It's going to be hired actresses, meaning if you could sing, they're going to say, okay, sing this song over. We're going to sign off. It's going to be like a works made for hire. So you sign off on that. So you're not really an artist. They're going to create like a character, and that's the name of the singer now. And you're just going to play a role of a person singing a song, but the ownership of the song is always going to belong to the record company, and you're just going to be an actress who plays the role of singing the song. That's what I see it going to. And yeah, I know, sad as hell. It's like going to the days of real artists. Probably gonna and this is why I'm here, because the idea is to give artists a platform. Because I always think there's going to be pushback. I think a lot of people are going to push back on that idea because no one wants to hear robotic made music all day. We're going to want to hear real songs that came from people's souls. You know what I mean? And so I think that's the only thing that we can really hope for, is that people push back on the idea of an AI controlled industry.
Yeah. And that it's going to be difficult too, because another problem is, here's one of the biggest problems that, I'm not trying to get political here or anything, but one of the biggest problems that often includes some suffering on some side is money. So like another thing is like, these record labels, they might just realize that not only is it easier to have an AI do this stuff, but it's also going to be cheaper because you just pay for this. There's the baby. You just pay for the AI and you don't have to all of a sudden pay for these artists like millions and millions of dollars to, go on tour, write these albums. It's like, oh, I can save a shit ton of money just doing this and just finding someone to you go sing it. So the money aspect, unfortunately, I hope deep down in my heart that people would want to keep their integrity and be like, no, we want people to do this. We don't mind paying extra money to have it be, good. That's fine. But I think deep down, a lot of people out there, they're always looking for the cheaper solution to things.
Yep.
To save money or to get even more money. So I don't know. It's scary. I don't know. The whole, every time AI comes up, it's like, oof. It's like, I get it. It can be very useful. We've discussed that. I'm not saying it's not useful, but I don't want it to replace the human heart, if that makes any sense to you people out there, to you folks out there listening to this episode. Could you imagine someone taking your voice, Christian, and then someone taking Charles's voice, and then someone taking my voice, and then sampling that voice, and then creating a podcast? And it sounds just like we're speaking right now. They have topics and everything, and they're putting this out as a podcast, and it's really just AI talking to each other. Yeah. I mean, they could do that.
Maybe we are the AI versions.
Yeah, that's the whole trick here. Yeah, to you listeners out there, this was a whole AI generated episode. None of us were here. We all slept in this morning. No, and it's like I should write that in the description of this episode. Just be like, by the way, this was written by ChatGPT. This whole episode was written by ChatGPT. That is crazy. And the voices thing, that's already happened because you saw people do that with I think it's usually famous people voice. But remember for a little bit, I don't know if it's still popular, but I remember seeing on YouTube for a while, people were doing the presidents doing shit. Like they would use Biden, Trump, and Obama. All talking, playing a video game or something together. And it's it sounds just like that. It's like, holy shit. Obviously it's not them getting together and playing fucking Fortnite or whatever. But I mean, it's just they can do that. So
it's scary what they can do today.
It is very, very, very scary what they can do.
And this is why even like a lot of the features, and we have to start being very aware of a lot of the features on like our iPhones and our Samsung Galaxies, because, you know, like the facial recognition, people can do things now with facial recognition. They could take your voice, and then if you have a voice activation device where you can speak into it to open your device because it recognizes your voice, they can use that and trick the device into opening for them. It's just a lot of crap now. It's just, they're gonna have to rethink security in a minute when it comes to those sorts of features, biometric features.
Yeah, these technology problems. You know, I hope it becomes a thing that, like, I don't know, in 20 years it was like, oh, I can't believe we're even worried about that. But I don't know. Part of me's just still worried. Like, so how, like, for you, like, how, I'm not saying you faced a bunch of these problems before, but like, how would you want to plan to, like, confront if like the use of AI was happening a lot, or just like, you know, social media becomes you know, what do we call it? Subscription, like how we talked about that. Like, how do you plan on facing these problems that might be coming up in a few years, like we've mentioned?
I'm going back to basics.
Okay.
I'm going right back to basics. I'm going back to the way the music industry used to be. We're going to do street team promotions. We're going to put posters up everywhere. We're going to get active in the communities, talk to the people, get people out to listen to live music. That's what it's about. It's about that human connection. You could be online all day, all you want to. At the end of the day, guess what people need? People need the sun. People need oxygen. People need to breathe. So the idea is to pull people out of their homes, take off them damn VR headsets, and get your ass out here to this local park where we're going to set up a stage where you're going to listen to some amazing freaking music for some real artists, not AI generated, real people speaking and singing on stage. I think that if we always go back to basics, which is the foundational area, I think that we can always win. Because the idea is they can only win when they put those goggles on. They can only win if their phone is open. They can only win if their laptop is open. But you lose once they shut that shit off.
Man, that sounds like my I used to do Amway back. I used to sell Amway back in the day. And the $1 million person, like all multi-level marketing, they bring $1 million person in, you know. He was saying the same thing. He was like, get off. He was like, in the future, it's gonna be VR sets. And the only reason why people play video games is so they can win, because they ain't winning nowhere else.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Change the game. All you got to do is change the game, Charles. Change the game, and I promise you, they cannot win. That's a virtual game they're playing, and it's rigged. But if we play the human game, the virtual game can't win because it can't exist where we're existing.
Well, you know,
it only takes one villain, bro. One villain that can write the AI technology to just say, you know what? Attack humans, but don't attack me. Put that in the code. And then that's game. We done. Because there's a movie out right now, the J-Lo in it, and I ended up watching it. And AI, this computer, yeah, Alice, yo, the computer, the dude, the dude that she was going against, the villain, was an AI robot this whole time making other robots.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? All it takes is one villain, bro.
That's
when they start manufacturing these physical humanoid robots, who do you think is going to be manufacturing them?
Other robots.
That's right, other robots. They're not going to have humans doing the assembly line. They're going to have robots in the assembly line.
That's a very old, well, maybe not very old, but that's a trope in science fiction. Like, for instance, like Mass Effect, that like the humans or an alien species wanted to create a system that protects all people from ever like getting hurt and stopping all wars and making peace. So then that system creates the robots that destroy all life because that's how we create peace. So like that's a very old trope of like the robots create more robots to help the humans, but it usually helps in not a very nice way. And then so like that's a whole old thing. But you know, I wanted to just say real quick, because we're unfortunately at that sad time where we got to wrap the podcast up. But I want to say that I'm very glad that John is here, not only to talk about this stuff with us, but I like how you mentioned at the end you're going to go back to the old ways if things get like this, and that just gives me hope. Because knowing that not only you would do it, I know that you're not the only one thinking that. So there's going to be other people like you that would do it too. So that's going to keep the human element. That's all I want. That's all. If you want to use AI to help you out in life, absolutely fine. Go ahead and do it. The technology's there. Use it. I use a computer for work. Like, it's fine. I use technology myself. But I love the idea that people out there are still ready to fight and work for the human element of things like music and writing. So I really appreciate that, John. I love everything you just said. and I want to hear more about it soon. But anyway, like I said, we're at that sad time. Got to go around the horn here and do our last minute plugs. So starting with DJ Chucky, my friend, do you have any last minute plugs for listeners?
Hey man, just keep sharing our shit. Keep telling people about it. We out here growing. We doing our thing. And if you ever in the Chicago area, I mean not Chicago area, but if you are in the Chicago area, Chicago's a great place. But if you're in the area, man, the California Fresno area, whatever, Central Valley, whatever the case is, come out to the bar, man. You know what I mean? I might be DJing there. I'll tell you which one if you hit me up.
Hell yeah. Thank you, DJ Chucky, for those last minute plugs. And of course, my last minute plugs before we get into our honored guest are you can follow Great Morning _ the podcast on Instagram. You can follow Great Morning _ the podcast on TikTok. You can follow You Love Steph on Instagram. You can follow Slightly Special with 2 L's at the end on Instagram. You can follow DJ Chucky on Instagram. You can follow Topaz Kid on Instagram. You can follow Trip God Jimmy. That is TryPgodJimi on Instagram. You can follow O'Shea.ivy. The dot is a punctuation mark, not written out, but you can follow him on Instagram as well. And we have no updates on a new special coming out. We will soon, though. But if you haven't already listened to the 5-year anniversary, go back and listen to the 5-year anniversary that dropped 2 weeks ago before Memorial Day, and it was a lot of fun. And it's a nice long episode too, so you can take your time listening to it. But go ahead and listen to that as well. And happy like we said, we don't say happy, but shout out to the Memorial Day and all the people we've lost. Like I said, every day. Even if you're angry, tell the people that you love them. All right. It's going to be worth it. That being said, happy June. And I want to go ahead and move into our special honored guest here today. John, I love the things you said. Thank you for taking the time out on this Sunday to come on and discuss it. We had a lot of fun discussion. Well, it was a little morbid at times, a little concerning, but I mean, it was still a great conversation about, AI and social media. And we really appreciate that, especially coinciding with the music industry. We love having you on. We like hearing the perspective you have on everything. But John, do you have anything you want to plug to the listeners before we get out of here?
Yeah, you guys, if you guys want to follow me on IG, you can follow me at King John Lives. If you want to follow the label, it's at Official Popular Demand. Listen, just keep it real, man. And literally just keep it real. Like, you don't gotta have AI and everything. You can do things on your own. God created you perfectly. You don't need the help of any robotic assistants to be human. You know what I'm saying? You're already that. Shout out to Far Rockaway and everybody else out there. Look, Mom, I made it. I love you guys for having me on again, and I will see you guys next time.
Fantastic, John. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you all for listening to this episode. And that was our episode. Great morning.
Great morning.
Great morning.
Great morning.
Great morning.
Great morning.
Great morning.